In this podcast, I have conversations with women who are building their businesses in their own way. We speak about the paths they walked, the moments of meeting their edges, and the shifts that followed and allowed them to integrate feminine energetics into their work. These are honest conversations about building, leading, and creating from the inside out, meant to inspire women to unmute their voices and build in ways that are uniquely their own. Today, I am talking with Ellen. She knows firsthand what it means to reach the edge of burnout and choose a different way forward. A profound turning point in her early 30s led her in a deep journey of self awareness, boundaries, and reclaiming her inner authority. Today, she is driven by a desire to support others and creating lives with more balance, clarity, and self trust. Hello, Ellen. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. Yeah.
Yes. Amazing. I'm looking forward to our conversation. And so I have my four questions ready. And I would like to start immediately with the first question says, how have you been building your business? How long have you been an entrepreneur?
Yeah, not that long actually. So I only started this past year, so it hasn't been quite a full year yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still relatively new to me,
Yeah.
the whole entrepreneurial journey. And it's been challenging and rewarding and a massive learning path. So yeah, I've been enjoying it to be honest.
That's good to hear because we need women that enjoy what they are doing and are not just doing from the I need to do something. So I love hearing this. So how have you been building your business?
Yeah,
Like,
so
yes, so I mean really like the structure. What is the steps that you took to build?
okay, gotcha. Yeah, so maybe just very briefly, like where I came from and why I decided to go into building my own business.
Yes, perfect.
So you mentioned it's now about 10 years ago that I landed myself in a burnout situation, and I was in a high demanding corporate environment.
Hmm.
Enjoyed the work I did, enjoyed the high pace, yet also not sustainable in the way that I was doing it.
Hmm.
So that led me on a long journey of discovery and learning what I needed. And at the same time, I had switched jobs and went into the higher educational environment. And I was a teacher and a coach there. But the last few years, I noticed that also in that environment with my colleagues, with students, burnout was a reality. Like almost every single day I would have conversations with people who would feel like they were just exhausted and they didn't know what they were doing wrong, quote unquote, or how to change it for themselves. Um, and those conversations were actually the ones that led me to believe that I needed to start something myself because I was in that environment and at first I was trying to find a way within that environment to help people out, to provide coaching more targeted towards preventing burnout. But there wasn't space for that because it's bureaucratic. They had their own programs, et cetera, et cetera. So that eventually was the kick in the butt for me to say, okay, then I need to go do this myself now, which was extremely scary because I have no experience running any type of business. Nobody in my family has any experience running any type of business. So I was like, all right, I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And my first step is that I did look up a business coach. So
Okay.
once I knew that I was going to leave, I still had, I don't know, 6 months or so to go. I had said I will stay until that particular time, but I already started while I was still working there. I already started kind of like a program with a business coach to kind of learn what are the first steps
Yeah.
that I need to take in this new path
That's
of
what I
being an
was.
entrepreneur.
That's what I was curious about. What is it that you were looking for in hiring a business coach? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And because I was completely blank. The only thing I knew was, okay, I want to go and do this. but that's where my knowledge ended.
And well, what is it? What is it that maybe a little bit a different path, but what is it that you learned from that business coach? And is there
It
anything?
was it was a female business coach,
Okay.
but it was there, and it was an online program. So this is a business coach that's quite established in the Netherlands, and I had seen good reviews and everything. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to go into that online program, follow along, and what I was looking for, and this is also what I got from it, was really very practical steps. It was really like, okay, step one, what is my message? Step two, right? So
Who
really,
are my clients?
yeah, exactly. Really being taken by the hand and go step one, step two, step three, step four. Like, how do I need to approach setting up this own business? So indeed, it was like, what is it that I want to focus on? Who is going to be my ideal client? What's going to be my niche segment? How do I create a message for them? So very structured. And I went along in that.
Yeah,
But even at the time,
yeah.
I already, yes, even at the time,
Now
and
the juice is
that
coming.
time, exactly. But at the time, I was like, wait, but is this me? Like, why? I mean, so many people are going through this program and everybody raves about it and it's great. And yes, I was getting the structure that I was looking for, etc. But I was also being coached in how to present my message and how to
Yeah.
phrase my message.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there is where I first felt like, I don't know. I don't know if this is really aligning with what feels right for me. So eventually I did follow their instruction and the direction that they were proposing for me as well. Because it was really about, okay, you have to go sit on the pain. You have to really dig into what is the pain of your ideal client.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had such a hard time
Yeah.
to narrow that down to the extent that they wanted me to narrow that down. And I fully understand the logic behind it. I fully understand the reasoning behind it. Um, and I did eventually, I did come up with a message that got their approval,
Yeah.
where they said, yeah, okay, fine, now you can move on to the next step. But I was like,
Imagine that it's your business. You step out of corporate because you feel that the lines where you need to work, you can't do what is true, what you see is needed.
yeah.
And then you get, you become an entrepreneur and then you still have to walk those lines because otherwise, well, otherwise, hey, fill it in, but otherwise, you're not allowed to go to the next step.
Yeah, but that's really how the program was structured. Like you had to
Yeah.
get the okay for a particular phase and uh, have that done to their approval
Yeah.
to be able to continue into the next phase. So I did that and I followed the whole program and I had eventually, I had the basics of my business. And at the time I needed that. At the time I was like, okay, you know what? You're the expert. I literally do not know anything about this. So
Hmm.
fine, I will follow whatever you're telling me to do.
Yeah.
So I did. And then, well, basically my job at the university ended, and there I was. Now I had to actually start the business. And that was scary because still had no clue how.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I decided to continue with this same person
Hmm.
for another short program that was kind of set up to boost that first, startup of the business, the real kickoff, basically.
Which sounds very logical. I mean,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
am I going to do? And then how am I going to do it? So it makes perfect sense.
It was a
Start.
logical next step. Absolutely. Yes. Again, I went through all the steps. I went to the sessions. I did the homework. I did everything that they were asking me to do.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. And then what? Then I was like,
You
okay,
feel,
fine. So
yeah. Oh, sorry, please continue. Oh, yeah.
no, yeah, so it felt like, okay, so I have taken all the steps. I have done all these things. I now have let's say, the skeleton of the business. I mean, I have the structure. Um, but yeah, it still felt a bit like it was too logical. It was too structured.
So you feel completed, but no fulfillment. Can I
Yeah,
summarize it like that a
yeah,
little
I think
bit?
that's a good
Yeah.
way to summarize it.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I felt like, okay, I have done all my things. And this is the story of my life, basically, in a nutshell. I've always been the good student, right? I've always been the loyal, dedicated person who will do what she's asked to do, if that's part of my goal, of course, of what I also want to do. Um, but that's also part of what got me into that burnout in the first place,
Mhm.
because I was so focused on doing it right, on doing what other people were expecting of me to do, right?
Mhm.
To the point where I wasn't looking after my own boundaries anymore, and I ended up in that burnout. Now, that didn't happen this time. Several reasons. I've learned a lot
Yeah.
since then. This is my project, so no, I wouldn't let it get that far anyway. But still, kind of like the same pattern in that I was like, okay, yes, somebody is the expert here, so I will follow along and I will do whatever they tell me to do.
Mhm.
Um, but being left at a place where I was like, okay, great. I have this now. I've done this now. Do I feel different? No. Do I feel like now I have it? Now I understand it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Which is, what you're describing is basically how we learn to do everything, how we learn
Yeah.
to do life. We first look up to our parents. We copy the way our parents do things. That's how we learn. And then we go to school. There's a teacher that is telling us what we need to learn and how often they're telling us also how we need to learn. And
Yeah.
then university is exactly the same. It's not about developing your own mind. Yeah, small pieces about developing your own mind, but it's mainly about repeating the things that people before us have done because that worked. And what is never taught to us is that worked for them.
Yeah.
That knowledge, what is going to work for you?
Yeah.
So
No.
it's very logical that this is, something, especially when you're becoming an entrepreneur. And if you've never been an entrepreneur, you start something that is completely new and you jump into, okay, where can I learn to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
when in truth, it's not a copy and paste system being an entrepreneur.
No, exactly. And I think that's been my big learning journey over the past year is finding that balance between, yes, I need to learn some basics of uh, what components does a business have? What do I need to have done? Um, but also still listening to my own voice in that and trusting that no, I haven't run a business before and I don't know exactly what I'm doing. But the reason that I wanted to do this and the place where this desire came from still needs a spot at the table as well.
Exactly, exactly. Because otherwise, it becomes a trick we do instead of it being something that we create from the truth that we know that we have inside of us to, teach or bring or share with the world. So yeah, you said it beautifully. So that
Yeah.
I guess that's the end of that course. I probably the timeline was a little bit different, but the end of that course and that realization was this moment that you met your edge within that creating of your business.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Uh, although I still struggle with it a little bit sometimes because I'm still in contact with a few people that I did that program with, and we're keeping each other accountable. And I notice that they are often very much like, okay, we have to look at this and this and this and this.
Mhm.
And I am more from an energetic part that I'm like, but how does it feel? And is that the right thing for me right now? Um, so the way I like to see it now is that yes, I think I do need that partly to keep me structured, to keep me on course, to uh yeah, I was gonna say to keep me in the world that we currently live in.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I want to feed that side of me that is that quirky, weird person who likes to also listen to her energy and knows that everything is a bit different
Yeah.
in that regard as well.
Yeah.
And towards the end of this past year, so towards the end of 2025, I started to notice that I had been kind of like hustling a little bit too much again, and I was just doing and doing and doing the right things.
Mhm.
But I was getting tired again. I was
Yeah.
like, ugh, this is not really how I want to do it. It
Mhm.
doesn't feel like this is how I should be doing it. And that led me to uh, go back to a different type of business coach that I had heard about already and I had looked into a little bit already, but then kind of was drawn back to the very practical side again. And this month, the start of this new year, I felt the pull that I had to sit down and dive into that part of doing business, and that's focusing on business energetics.
Okay. Yes, I
So
love that.
it's kind of
Please
like the
tell us
opposite
more.
of what I have been doing so far, because
Yeah.
business energetics basically claims, and that's very much in line, I think, with what you are exploring as well. It's a much softer way of doing business. It's much more aligned with, it's not based on hustle culture. It's
Mhm.
not based on, okay, if you just work your ass off, uh, you will succeed. But you have to work your ass off because otherwise you definitely won't succeed,
Yeah.
right? So this is much more from a place of, no, we can align with what really comes from us.
Yeah.
And yes, do our part, take our actions, but from a place of alignment, from a place of
Exactly.
aligned decision making, and then have trust that it will unfold in a way which maybe right now we don't know yet.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned the word alignment and that you bring into the conversation. It's not about working hard versus not working hard, because what I've been witnessing so far is there are a lot of women that step into business and that hold on to those structures because they have this idea, this vision of they've been fed this illusion that the opposite of working hard is being lazy. If you don't work
Yeah,
hard at your business, then you're manifesting your business, which is it's there's so much in between there, right? Because it's about taking the right actions, taking the actions that are in alignment with what you want to bring, how you want to say it. And that's the essence of what this is. And so I'm really happy to hear you say that, because I'm on a mission to change this perspective. Yeah.
yeah, no, exactly. And also having been in this entrepreneurial space for the past nearly year, and especially talking about burnout and energy management and all and time management, um, I think the entrepreneurial space is maybe one of the easiest spaces to burn out because you're sustaining yourself. So
Yeah.
if you're not doing it, nobody else is going to do it for you either. And that goes for bringing in money and an income and stability, but also in terms of what does it take from you? What is the time and the energy that you're willing to put into this?
Yeah.
And on the one hand, I have noticed that actually I'm working more hours now than I was in my previous job because I was working part-time and still because I have two kids at home. But overall,
Yeah.
I'm definitely working more hours now than I was in my previous job. That paid me quite well. And right now, well, debatable from time to time.
Yeah.
But I am already getting a lot more energy out of it
Yeah.
because I'm doing my own thing.
Yes, exactly.
But again, it's that balance and it's managing myself
Mhm.
in, okay, yes, I want to do this because I am passionate about it and I want to share my message and I want to create this business and have it be a proper business that can sustain me.
Mhm.
Um, and making sure that I do keep that balance between, yes, I have to take the practical actions, which will cost me time and energy,
Mhm.
but also in alignment with who I am and with what I need.
Exactly, exactly. Knowing your standards, which is something that many people, women or entrepreneurs, and we can niche. How do I niche this? I don't want a niche, but
Yeah,
generally speaking, when we live from our standards and our values, we know exactly how to also deal with things that we don't really want to do or that we are not particularly good at. Because when you're an entrepreneur, there's so much coming your way, and there's this need for that balance, but from a place of knowing what it is that you are bringing into the world. So if you need to do administration work, which is not my favorite task, in fact, once a year in the month of January, I choose 2 days and I do my whole financial administration for the past year.
I like that actually. Might have to look into that.
I've tried different ways. It doesn't work because, but anyhow, that's not what I want. I just what bringing the example. Let's not
Right.
heal that part of me yet. But because I know that it's sustaining something that I do from my heart, it's less of a burden, so to say.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
enjoying it, but well, and then I can go back and have playtime with my yoga classes and that
Yeah.
things that I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there something very practical that you can name that you do differently? And I speak a lot about feminine energetics because to me, the way that I've been building is very much connected to connecting to my heart and not working from my brain. And I like expressing it in the feminine and masculine energetics. So I'm totally not saying that we shouldn't have any masculine energetics in the way we build and in the way we do, because there are some things that are really, we need to be able to make those decisions and, okay, put on the computer when it's in balance. But so I call it feminine energetics. How is it that you would call the way you've been doing things differently? Is that a sentence? Did you understand what I said?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. But how I would
Perfect.
call it?
Yeah.
What's the
Yes.
word
What?
that I would
So
use
what?
with?
Well, yes. I asked you actually two questions at the same time. I'm curious. What is it that you changed?
Mm-hmm.
You readjusted, and how would you call it? I call it like working from feminine energetics.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't necessarily put a word to it yet, but I could, yeah, I could align with that term, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure, the energetic part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer in everything is energy, and we need to become much more intentional with the way that we want to use that energy, both physically, mentally, but also life energy, if we want to call it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's something I have learned to do for several years already. So I've been doing that also before I started my own business. But now so that, yeah, and I've continued to implement that. But especially since, well, very recently, then really this year, because in December I felt like "Ugh, I'm tired and I'm
Mm-hmm.
hustling too much and I need a break, and I took a break over Christmas, and then January, I came back and I really felt pulled into exploring more of that business energetics, so more the feminine energy implementation, stepping away from that hustle culture. And what that has changed so far for me is that I will step back quicker. So I have my actions outlined, um, but those actions are in alignment with what I know I need to do right now,
Mm-hmm.
even just for today.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, and it's a lot focused on
Mm-hmm.
connecting with me because I need to know where I want to go. So to be able to have that alignment, I need to start with me. And then from there, define the actions that are in alignment with that goal that I have internally. And so far for me, that has been to really reach out to people, to talk more to people, to step away from my laptop more, to go back into the real world. Um, because I also know I am quite an introverted person and I'm quite happy in my own company. And I can quite enjoy being at home all day by myself behind my laptop, just doing my own thing, but it's not feeding me with what I need on a long-term basis.
I love that.
So that's the shift that I've noticed so far already, is that it's pulling me more into step away from the computer a little bit more and start connecting again with people.
And is that only business connections or work connections, or is it, do you mean just generally?
No, it's focusing more on business connections, but kind of also seeing that business connections are also human connections.
Yeah. I call it playtime. And then
Okay.
just playtime, feeding my human, going a playtime. You know how children play?
Yeah, exactly.
At one point we stopped playing, and
Yeah.
I never really stopped playing, but okay, that's a different story. And I call it playtime, just going into the world and letting things just move in the way that they want to move, like having going for a walk without having a fixed path or a route that we want to take. Route is a yes, yeah,
Yeah. Root route. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
right. And just deciding on the moment, oh, today I'll go here, and today I'll go to the left, and here I'll go to the right, and here I'll go straight, and just really, letting the invitation of what is coming my way and following that invitation. That creates for me a lot of that gives me a lot of energy, and my creativity then also spikes, and all of a sudden I have the best ideas. And I would love to go without my phone, but then I'm like, oh, I'm going to forget this. So I send messages to myself. I had this fantastic idea. And then nine out of 10 times I listen when I'm home and I'm like, oh yeah, that was great then. Or I can't even, understand what I said. So I call it playtime.
Yeah.
That feeds the human, that feeds the creativity, and that allows me to resource, get back to myself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's kind of like what creates space, right?
Yeah.
Space in your head, space in your whole system to kind of let in the new ideas, the new flow, the new things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the beginning of the call or in the chit chatting we did before, I can't remember. You have children, and
Yeah.
I know you're also a wife. So being an entrepreneur, how do you juggle everything or bring everything together and still from that authenticity? What are the boundaries that you maybe have in each area to make sure that all areas are met where you want to meet them?
Yeah, well, that's sometimes a challenge. But I knew that, of course, going in. And part of me going on this entrepreneurial experience was also to hopefully build something for myself where I can have time flexibility. So that is part of the goal. At the same time, as I said, I actually spend more time right now than I did in my previous job so far because I'm really building something. Um, and yeah, so going in, I knew that I had certain days where I will be more available, certain days where I will be less available, certain times where I will be more available. And I mean, there are certain cutoff times that I really have as cutoff times because that's when I need to go pick up the kids or I need to be with the kids or whatever it might be. It's also the reason that the weekends I generally don't do anything work related unless it's an exception. Like, for example, in November, I went to Florence in Italy to speak there. That was on a weekend. And the same thing will happen again early March when I will also go for a speaking engagement in Paris. but they are exceptions, right? It's really for those types of occasions that I will make that exception. Otherwise, the weekend is for my family time. Um, so yeah, I make sure that once the weekend is ready for the weekend, um, during the week, it sometimes mixes a little bit because I will make sure that all my meetings and everything take place during the time that my kids are in school,
Mhm.
or during the time that I know that I have available. Um, but responding to social media messages or, just doing little things like that, I will also do when I have the kids, but when they're doing something for themselves, basically. So, but I do notice that sometimes I tell them, I was like, okay, just give me half an hour. I'll
Yeah.
just be sending some messages and then I'll be fully yours again. So kind of, I mean, they're old enough now. They're 9 and 6. Uh, I'm not going to say that they understand because I don't think kids should be able to understand
Mm,
yet that, oh, mama needs to send messages because that's more important for some reason. Um, but I can explain it to them and they can at least comprehend
yeah.
that this is part of my work. And once I'm done with that, I'm back to, doing everything that needs to be done with them again.
It's also a life lesson to understand that you're not always available for them, not as you being their mother, but just in general in life. It's, things are not
Yeah,
immediately available to us. So in the sense, yeah, it's not only bad for them.
true.
What I'm noticing is, and what I want to ask you, do you think the children actually help you to be able to not get back into a situation where you spend all your time hustling and working because you have all the time in the world? And the reason why I'm asking is I don't have children, and I know that sometimes I'm just like working the whole day. I start at 8, and in the end my husband is at home. He will feed me, and I'm just in this mode. And the day after, I notice I'm really, really drained.
Mm,
And as we don't have children, and he's also an entrepreneur, so when I'm in a creative vibe, and he knows, well, I'll just leave her. But I notice the day after I'm really drained, and then it's okay because I don't have to do anything the day after that, which is the good thing about being an entrepreneur. But I'm wondering if the children are kind of a support system to to not get back to a situation where you would over uh, overstep your boundaries.
yes and no. Yes, in the sense that they are a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go into a bit more stress mode or a bit more grumpiness mode or, kind of like, quick, 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 I have to do this, we have to do this, let's hurry up. That type
Put
of
your
mode.
shoes on. I need to be in an appointment.
That's every morning anyway for school. But yes, when it's in a different situation, I
Yeah.
will get that back big time, times
Yeah.
10.
Mm.
So, and in the moment, it's very annoying and, it clashes sometimes, but at the same time, it's my mirror. It also shows me that, listen, I am showing to them what I'm doing and they are mirroring that back to me. So yes, that's for sure. Um, does that make it easier? Not always, because it also gives me less freedom to like you say, when you're in a flow, like you have the space to be in that flow. Whereas for me, I'm like, oh, the clock, oh no, 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 I have to run, I have to go, I have to go.
Yeah.
Um, and oh, yeah, it might not be a nice thing to say it that way, but to me, it actually is. My family life, it's another job. It's another
Mm-hmm.
job that I'm doing.
Mm.
So, I mean, there's all these tasks that need to be done. If I don't do them, okay, well then, yeah, is my husband going to do them? We have a division,
Mm-hmm.
but he also has a very demanding job, right? So that's an agreement between him and me of how do we make sure that we run this household together in a way that's sustainable and good for everybody involved. Um, so yes, I think it does help to see that life is not just about work, and that there's many other things that are so important in life as well. Um, but no, in the sense that I still have all this passion and I still want to do all these things,
Yeah.
but I have less time and energy available for it, which sometimes is frustrating, right? Because sometimes there's this opportunity and I see uh, all these women and going like, yes, yes, I'm available. Yes, I'll go. Yes, I'll go. And I'll be like, no, I can't. I would love to, but I can't.
Mm.
So, and of course, that's choices, that's life choices, that's priorities, and I'm 100% okay with that. But yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
goes both ways.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
So is there, so your first year of creating your business brought you to a point where you met this edge, I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
Does that in any way have influence on the way you are guiding your clients? Because you support people,
Yeah.
men, in living through burnout or to prevent burnout, or how?
Yeah, so I'm sitting mostly on the prevention aspect, and that can be
Yes.
either, and mainly guide women in demanding international environments because that's where I came from myself as well. Um, so it's either women who are close to burnout, who feel like, okay, I'm going the wrong way, but I don't know how to pull myself out of these patterns.
Mm.
So that, or women who have gone through burnout and who are now starting up again, but have that voice in the back of their minds says like, okay, but it happened once. How do I make sure that it doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
Because that's also who I was at some
Yeah.
point. So I focus very much on our energy management, making sure
Mm.
that we don't leak too much energy to all these other things that don't matter in the end, that we feed ourselves with enough energy to sustain ourselves. We look at time management, effectiveness, support levels, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Um, and I forgot your question now.
So, well, my question is your first year in building your business and noticing this edge and then shifting to a different way of building, bringing in, I'm going to say the feminine energetics. Is that something that you are incorporating in the way you guide those women, your clients?
Yes, but I was already doing that because, as I said, like for several years already, I already work with energy intentionally, and I have integrated that into my own daily life. So both privately, but it also works through in work and in my business. Um, so that hasn't really, no, it hasn't really changed in the way that I work with clients because the focus was already there and it was already there to the extent that it was helpful for them.
Yeah.
I think the focus has just shift or needed to shift a little bit for myself. And of course, that will have an impact or a mirroring effect on my clients as well. I'm absolutely sure um, that I needed to bring myself back a little bit more into, okay, also in this regard, in this arena of running my business, here
Mm.
too, I have to create a bit more time and space to have that energy alignment come in.
Yeah. Mm, related, but maybe a little bit different. Do you think there's something structural that needs to change in the corporate world
Yes.
to make sure that people don't burn out anymore? I mean, we've been hearing it so much. I remember speaking with someone in HR, and they were talking about the fact that, and they were very proud of it. They were talking about the fact there is always too much tasks assigned to someone to make sure that they do the best. So there's this feeling of I'm not, I'm a failure because I don't reach all these goals that are expected from me. But then on the other side, the HR part of the business, they know it's too much and that it's not something that is available to someone.
Yeah.
That's
It's so common. I know, but that's how I'm going to say at least 80% of the organizations work. It's so focused on quantity. Quantity.
people are
Yeah.
being set up for failure.
Yeah. And we see that because the numbers are still increasing. It's not going down. And especially after COVID. like different ways of working, and there's no closure between work and home life anymore, it continues. And the age in which people reach burnout is getting lower.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's not
It's
rocket
insane.
science,
It's
but
insane. I mean, yeah.
it's and it makes perfect sense. I mean, we're being bombarded with information all day long. We're supposed to know everything. We're supposed to have an interest in everything. We're supposed to, the sky is the limit for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we're only one person. We only have so much time and energy that we can spend in one day.
Mm.
And we don't learn how to manage that because we used to not have to learn to manage it in this extensive of a way. But now we do because if it's kind of implied that we know how to do this, but
Yeah.
we don't. We've never been taught how to do this. It's a new world that we live in. Yeah,
Well,
no.
yeah, it's a new world and everything changes again. So everything changes again and again. And do I hear a mission there for you?
Yes, this is
Make
my
ready?
mission.
Is that okay? Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, if I could, just wave my magic wand, I would change that. And I think, and this is, I think, something that we do in general in society, the focus is always on recovery,
Mm-hmm.
not on prevention,
It's in I know.
right? That's in the medical field. It's also in this, it's mental health, it's everywhere. We wait until somebody has gone downhill, and then we will give them the medication, or we will give them a few months off if needed, to kind of bring them back to functioning level. And then we just start the whole process again.
Yeah.
And this is what I hear over and over from the women that I work with as well. It's not like they didn't tell their superiors, their managers, the people they work with, that they were struggling. Most of them did.
Mm-hmm.
They have literally said they sat down. Some of them broke down and cried. And yet nothing was done because it wasn't possible. There was nothing they could do. No. But when somebody is forced to stay out of work because they're burned out or because they fell ill or whatever the situation might be, all of a sudden everything is possible. They'll be replaced the next day. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yes, and I heard you say the word function
Yeah, indeed,
until they can function again. It's
deliberately.
we are so used to be functioning instead
Yeah,
of thriving.
yep,
And that's exactly also what I see in the entrepreneur world. Just it's okay. You're making the numbers, you're earning the money, you're building the business. You are at 100,000. Let's go to 1 million. That's normal. But I'm not happy. It doesn't matter. You're making the numbers. But I want to
yeah,
thrive. I want to be happy. I want no, 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 no. You're making the business. Why are you so don't?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, I very deliberately use the word functioning because that's
Yeah,
also how I felt when I was in my burnout. And I received, I was allowed to go see a coach and I received the support. And yes, they coached me back to functioning. I
yeah.
was able to come back into the company and I could function again.
Hmm.
But nothing else had changed. I was still the same person who was still running in the same patterns, who would still go and do the same thing. And I knew that. So eventually I decided to quit that job because I knew that nothing was going to change.
Yeah.
And that's what I see everywhere. It's like, yeah, we're offered support because that's now mandatory, at least in the Netherlands. It's mandatory that if you fall ill with burnout or whatever it might be, they have to offer you support.
Hmm.
But it's support that comes from the company. And of course, and business wise, it makes perfect sense. What they want is that you come back as soon as possible to be able to work for the company again. But that's where it ends. It's not to help you in finding yourself, in finding your core, in finding your mission, in finding a way to be aligned in the work that you do.
Yeah.
It's to get you back to work.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well. Thank you very much for the work you're doing and for bringing thrivingness back to
Yeah,
the world. And let's go in and shake this corporate world and make sure that we stop functioning and we start thriving and living.
yeah. And that's the crazy part about it anyway, right? Because if you look at it, practically speaking, companies would benefit so much if they were to go along with this, but it's an investment. So
Yeah,
everything is like short-term solutions.
yeah,
But if they were to actually be willing to look long-term, what happens?
yes.
A thriving employee is going to give them so much more.
Yes, and then at the same time, I want to bring in the idea that radical responsibility.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
responsible. Yes, let's not put any responsible. And I understand. I'm with you. Huh? Something in the system is needing to change, and I believe that the change is not going to come from the system changing, but from the people acting differently,
agree, agree.
and bringing different kind of message. But we are
Yeah,
so made to be fearful of, but what if I lose my job? What if they don't want me anymore? What if this? What if that?
yeah,
And the truth is, if we all together stand, take our radical responsibility for who we are and what we are and how we want to do our jobs in the best ways we can, then change will come from the bottom up. Yeah.
absolutely. No, 100%. And that's also my message is that we need to take responsibility of our own well-being. Because if
Exactly.
we're going to
It's
wait
as
for
simple as
somebody to
health,
save
huh?
us,
Yeah.
exactly, it's not going to happen. So, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank
Yes.
you so much for this conversation, Ellen. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that.
Bye.